AI is coming for Hollywood and there's no stopping it. While the people involved are going through the 5 stages of grief, the only people currently in acceptance seem to be the CEOs themselves. For everybody else, there's coping. There's lots of coping. Most of the responses seems to be coping, suing people, and coping. But Hollywood doesn't have a choice. They have to embrace AI. They're already becoming like the next Detroit. Insiders are worried that it's going to be a ghost town in 5 years. And the current levels of budgets are just unsustainable. Bigger budgets make people rely on existing concepts, stifle innovation, and weaken the film sector. When you invest that much money in a product, everything skyrockets. Well, now you've got a £300 million budget, which means you've got to spend even more in marketing. Before you know it, you've got to make $1.4 billion to break even. And it's unsustainable. And even the biggest hits don't make any money. So you get high marketing budgets, you take all the most favourable opening weekends. And this just doubles down on the studio's commitment and increases the size of its bet, which they've been losing. This hyper-concentration in products has led to a 42% loss in TV writing jobs. The industry has to change because it doesn't work as it currently is. But many of the people in Hollywood seem to be saying, keep everything as it is so I can leech as much money as possible out of this industry before it dies. It's like, well, I've only probably got 10 more years working. If I can just drag it on that long, I can get another $50 million out of it, and afterwards I don't care.
Sheer hubris.
So with the CEOs on one side, basically everybody else on the other, what you've got is an AI civil war inside Hollywood. For many years, as the actors and writers have inserted their own politics into the industry, they thought their enemies were the audience themselves. They were more than happy to crap on everybody. More than happy to say, these are the vegetables that I have to put in your food because they're good for you, even though you despise them, you bigot. Little did those same people know that they would crush their entire industry and end up with a new enemy. One that looks like that. Because AI is out there. It can't be bargained or reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity, remorse, or fear, and it absolutely will not stop. It might even just improve the quality of the content, as well as making it cheaper. The Ethernaut on Netflix already used them. There was the first ever generative AI footage to stream. It was a decent show. It was low budget, it's not going to blow anybody away, but it was very watchable entertainment. But they used AI-powered tools to use VFX sequences 10 times faster than they could have been completed with traditional VFX tools and workflows. The creators were thrilled with the result, we were thrilled with the result, and so were audiences. It expands the possibilities of storytelling on screen, and that's endlessly exciting. Because quite frankly, The Ethernaut was a low-budget production. With that production, there were really only 2 possibilities. We use AI to do it, or we don't do it at all. When it comes to low-budget productions, there is really no counter-argument, because they weren't going to spend the money on VFX artists anyway. But it's not just that, it actually allows other alternative cuts for different audiences. So if you want to change a movie's rating and create a kid-friendly cut, well, they think they'll be able to do that too. I don't really know why they've got a picture of John Wick here. I don't want a John Wick PG-13 anime, but maybe there's some people that do. Lionsgate have got you covered. Now, one of the rules in Hollywood is it's always self-interest. They don't argue from a position of art. It's not about entertaining the audience, because a lot of them look at the audience like it's something they scraped off their shoe. That's why they're so happy to call them different slurs.
Some of the fan base just sickened me to my stomach. You're no Star Wars fan in my mind.
The Star Wars fan base really seems to be the most kind of toxic.
All of the people were angry. Like,
those people.
Various
People that we
awakening
need
of-
to educate, love into awareness.
love them in the right direction.
But it is funny when they come out and try, Ben Stiller, Mark Ruffalo, and more than 400 Hollywood names urge Trump not to let AI companies exploit copyrighted works. Yes, that would be the same Mark Ruffalo, who has constantly come out and attacked his own leader, then going to him on hands and knees, begging for his help. Because it's not about principle, it's about self-interest. I think my favourite narrative is when they've tried to turn this into a Hollywood movie itself. It's like, no, the AI is coming for you. The Terminator is coming for you. And only Hollywood can save you. Hollywood, you know, those people who are full of moral heroes. The true masculinity of our age, willing to sacrifice themselves to save the world. From Tom Cruise to the Terminator. I love how you've put those two next to each other. We've zeroed in on the real villain of modern life. It's the people, apparently, will put Mark Ruffalo out of a job. Maybe now is not the time to ask whether you should be saving the audience from AI, but why the audience doesn't care about saving you from it. Now, in the short term, this will cost jobs. Microsoft have already laid off 200 employees that trained in AI, and it replaced them. The issue is, this has always been happening. Every single time technology has improved, people lost their jobs. The motor car replaced horse and cart drivers. Automation replaced factory workers, and the dishwasher replaced a wife. But when jobs are damaged, they simply move elsewhere into jobs related to the new technology. So now cars needed mechanics. Automation needed people to design and build them. And wives created dark fantasy writers. Despite this, Hollywood doesn't seem to be living in any kind of level of logical reality, except the CEOs. I think this comes because technology was always seen as replacing the manual labor. I'm not sure that directors or writers have ever really spoken about what the printing press did to town criers, or what forklifts did to day laborers. Now, the problem that everybody had is we all assumed it would be blue-collar jobs, laboring jobs that went first. And they've suddenly found out all of that was wrong. We've inverted the pyramid, and now it's the creatives which are in trouble. That leads them to greatly overestimate their sense of self-importance.
We'll see. I think it's exciting times for filmmaking. I think it's an unknown future. There's a dotted line in cinema between, like, before CGI and after CGI. All the masterpieces, or a lot of my favourite films, are before that dotted line, before you could do anything you wanted as a filmmaker.
Like, yeah, it could be good. There are things you should do. There are things you shouldn't. You know, probably keep me in a job.
And so it's an important lesson to everyone. It's like, just because you could doesn't mean you should, you know, to quote the movie.
Just once. Once. I would like to see someone be an activist for something that didn't benefit them. You know what? I've got a moral principle because I think it's the right thing to do. Not because it keeps me in a job. Not because it gives me money. Even when it came to Superman, they started talking about AI. This is at the forefront of all of their minds. Lex looks at Superman like artists look at AI. He's the world's greatest man in so many ways. He can do unparalleled things. But then again, he's done nothing to deserve this ability. And yet he's all the world is talking about. And so he's got an obsession with being replaced, with your gifts not being seen or passed over. I think that's what drives Lex. That's the reaction that he thinks that the actors are having. Kind of based. In fact, just to show you how up themselves these people are, this is a quote from Inside Hollywood's AI Civil War. It'll lead Hollywood to look more like social media. If you're kind of person who finds genius in memes, there'll be something to admire in new reappropriated forms. This deprofessionalization may even be encouraging on a populist level, as it puts cinema in the palms of many. But art is also inherently elitist. I feel like I should be reading this with a glass of whiskey and a cigar. You just can't comprehend my art, as they crap another propaganda piece onto the screen.
I mean, I know socialism is a charged word, but we can learn a lot from this.
No, you see, I just project myself onto the script, because I am art. It seems reasonable to ask if eroding this elitism, aspects of art get junk too. And this is just an incredibly low IQ take on what art is, because they are the elitist. No, I don't think there's anything wrong with elitism per se. I think it's true for some things. Art isn't one of them. When it comes to art, it's not the elitism that makes the art. The elitism comes from the art. This is why modern art is awful. This is actually why the RP accent exists in England at all. Class, the nobility, was always determined by wealth. You had things that the peasants didn't. But as technology gave the peasants things like spices, technology, and an equal standard of living, well, now all the toffs needed to show that they weren't a common peasant. So they developed finishing school and the posh accent. But how do you differentiate yourself from the current pleb? With movies or a painting on a wall. Anyone can listen to Mozart and tell that it's good music. Anyone can watch Lord of the Rings and say that they're good movies. To truly differentiate yourself from the peasant, you have to like the bad stuff. You have to like modern art. Whether that be a soiled bed or work number 227, where it was just the lights going on and off in the room. This GIF accurately summarizes the entire work.
People often ask Martin, what's the point of it? And I think Martin, as with this exhibition, is quite happy to give that question back over to viewers and for them to make up their own minds.
It was recently valued as being worth £110,000, acquired by the Tate Gallery, and it won the Turner Prize. It wasn't liked because it was good, it was liked because nobody knew what it was for.
It's a pile of wood, but it's just one that's particularly well piled.
It was so weird, so awful a creation that no peasant would ever say that they liked it. But the elite, that just gives them an opportunity. You just can't comprehend it. You're not artistic enough.
Creed's work has got the economical spare clarity of a beautiful mathematical equation. Why is this a work of art?
I kind of realise that maybe some people might think that these aren't But I wouldn't say that they are works of art.
Your palate isn't refined enough to taste the tastes of hint, honey, and roasted French charcoal on rotted grapes. If you like anything created by AI, even if it's incredible, the perfect masterpiece, there will just be, you just can't appreciate the art.
You know, I like cactuses, but I don't know which one I prefer. So I made a work with lots of them, kind of just colouring in sheets of paper. And I was thinking, well, you know, I don't know what colours are best, so I thought I could try and buy all the possible different pens.
But how can Hollywood fight this when they've already lost the argument, when technology marches forward anyway, and it doesn't care about them because, quite frankly, they don't matter? How can the mouse, the little bigot, stand forth in front of the march of overpowering technology and superiority? Well, they're gonna do what they always do. They get Daddy State to try and ban it for them. They're claiming that Midjourney is breaking copyright claims, despite not being able to point to where it is in the program. They're determined that piracy is piracy. SAG-AFTRA is taking a different approach to it in various different ways by just going, well, none of our workers will work for you, which is a kind of an interesting threat. Because if you're saying that AI will replace us and it'll put us out of a job, and then you're going, well, if you use it, I won't work for you. Not really sure where the threat is. You're gonna put us all out of a job. I'm quitting. No one ever accused a union of being bright. At least they're sticking to stereotypes. I could appreciate that. It makes it easier for all of us. It is also an interesting point about SAG-AFTRA, because a large part of the last strike was to try and stop AI replacing them. And they may have struck for a long period of time. Those contracts that they negotiate actually don't last that long. And so while people are saying that AI hasn't yet infiltrated Hollywood when it comes to script development, because the WGA contract disallows the studios from doing that. Well, that contract, that really doesn't seem like that long ago, is due in less than 10 months to be replaced. And if you have to strike for like 6 or 8 months or whatever it was to get a 4-year contract, and that strike destroys your entire industry every time you do it, reducing your writing jobs by 42% every time you do it, really does seem like an untenable situation for the WGA. But it's a union. They're not there to help the workers. They're there to leech from them. I think my favorite comment so far comes from the Andor creator himself, who refused to release the scripts publicly because they could be used to train AI softwares. Why help the effing robots? There's so many points to this. It's kind of glorious. Firstly, I like the idea that he thinks he needs to release the scripts. Like, you already released the TV show. I don't know if you know, mate, but the words are in there.
So sorry, ladies.
And secondly, there is no AI out there which is going, oh, I can't wait to write an Andor script. If only I could spend $600 million on a TV show that barely anybody watched. There is no creator in Hollywood that wants to replicate Andor and put audiences to sleep. I'm not sure even an AI could get through your script. It'd probably start deleting itself, like Amazon's did. As an aside, Amazon hasn't had great luck with AI. They put one into recruiting, and they had to scrap it because this objective system had taught itself that male candidates were preferable. It penalized resumes that included the word women's, and it downgraded graduates of 2 all-women's colleges, according to people familiar with the matter. No AI is going to create Andor. I'll tell you what it's gonna do. It'd look at James Gunn's Wonder Woman and go, nah, she needs a bigger chest and less clothes, mate. No wonder James Gunn isn't in a rush to find her. He's hardly gonna cast someone in the costume the audiences want. But an AI would. There isn't an AI on this planet that would go, you know what audiences want? Narcolepsy. They're even trying to ban it from awards as if anybody cares. The only good thing about award shows is when Ricky Gervais insults them to their faces.
They wear masks and capes and really tight costumes. Their job isn't acting anymore. It's going to the gym twice a day and taking steroids. Have we got an award for most ripped junkie?
Not that it's going to help them, because AI was enemy number 1 during the Hollywood strikes, but now it's in Oscar-winning films. The unions have no power because they don't matter. They came about, they went on strike, they refused to work, and all it did is made everybody else realize your reliability. The very ideology that Hollywood just pushed on its workers, the very people that they hired as a priority, is exactly what destroyed the industry and caused AI to be required in the first place. And it doesn't matter how much Hollywood actually bans any of this stuff. When you could make a blockbuster film for $5 million, you've just instantly won. And while the technology may not be there yet, this isn't going to go on forever. Every day is as bad as technology will ever be, and it just gets better tomorrow. And if they take the standard Hollywood approach of banning it, going on strike, getting daddy government to come down and say you can't do it, it doesn't really matter. because we live in an international world, and the breach of Hollywood being the main game in town is long gone. If Hollywood bans it, well, China's film business, it's no holds barred. Indian filmmakers are already embracing AI boldly. AI is already revolutionizing the Korean entertainment industry as they place big bets on AI for future hits across film, TV, and animation. You can use this or get left behind. There's no other option. The block that existed between Western audiences and foreign entertainment has long been destroyed, simply because of the lack of quality in Western entertainment, as they embraced ideas and politics that were repulsive to the general public. The demand for entertainment doesn't go away. They just gets displaced to other countries that haven't embraced those ideas. You can hate masculinity all you want, but the men that make the bulk of your profits, they can watch heroes elsewhere. Hollywood thought it was too big to fail. They thought storytelling was actually complicated and difficult. They didn't realize that it's fundamental to the human experience, and people can do it all over the world. And it's not like Hollywood has learnt. Now they're embracing things like the SIE Society, Social Impact Entertainment. It's where, yes, we are still going to give you the message, but we'll entertain you as well as give you the message. We're not going to change everything. We're not going to ram it down your throat as much as before. We'll give you the action movie you want. It's just that there'll be strange, smelling, disgusting pieces all over it. Like, did you crap on this movie?
You have the boy's magic.
No, this magic belongs to no boy.
No, hang on! Don't let go!
Like, no, I just added, like, taste chunks to it. I hid the vegetables you need a bit better. And so while the actors are pissed, I'm sure not just because they won't be able to tell the audience they're scum anymore and that actually they're far superior people with all the best ideas, there is the other side who think that AI in Hollywood is the next golden age. That startups and investors are already jumping into Hollywood as the next big industry. Luma is opening a lab over there, and they are engaging in one of the 5 stages of grief, that being bargaining. No, we want to work with you, not replace you. Of course, this side, which comes from Hollywood itself, is running into AI copyright issues, which I find funny. Hollywood has gone about preaching for new rules and regulations, extending copyright out as far as possible, splitting it into as many chunks as they can so they can sell it all over the place. They made an absolute minefield of legislation deliberately so that it could benefit them. And then AI comes along, and suddenly they're now being restricted from the very evolutions or revolutions that they want to do. The CEOs would absolutely love for this not to be a problem, even though it's a problem they created. And so what does it mean for screenwriters? Well, in an already collapsing industry, that 42% is going to expand. You'll end up with one guy making multiple scripts with the help of AI, everything speeding up, the graphics improving, the actors not being required. Everything will accelerate and accelerate until it hits a point where there's, quite frankly, too much content. Audiences only have limited time, and they've got far more to do now than just go and watch a movie at the cinema. There's talk of how AI is leading millions of people to make billions of videos, and how Luma AI said, why are you making 5 movies a year when you should be making 50? You should be making 100. That is an attitude that won't survive. The gaming industry's already found this with live service games. All you end up with is a few live service games, which everybody plays for years, and they don't want to go into anywhere else because they've sunk too much time into this one. You can't make hundreds of movies because so will everyone else, and you'll have 5 people watching them all. This is also a problem YouTube's going to have to face, because if AI can just pump billions of videos onto the YouTube, they'll all get 1 view. That's why when they call it an existential threat, it's a cancer masquerading as a profit center. They're not wrong, it just depends on the interpretation. I'm not sure the best impression of it is to come from someone who says he's got imposter syndrome, neuroticism, and guilt high enough while he's working his ass off. Those things don't seem to be good for writing entertainment as it is. That's kind of an argument for AI. But he doesn't come with solutions to the problem. There is no, maybe we can work together, maybe we can use this as a tool, maybe this will help the industry and the jobs will move elsewhere. Instead, he's just urging the unions to move faster. We need firewalls in place before the next round of negotiations. It's necessary. I'm not telling you can't use it, but the public has a right to know they're watching something written by a human being. I think they want to know. That's not a good argument. It's definitely one I'd work on. If the audience can't tell what they're watching is being made by AI, why would you need a human? And this, for me, is the crux of the AI problem as a whole. You've got 2 sides in an AI civil war where they argue about jobs, the quality, how it just throws slop onto the screen. None of them care about the audience. I've not seen anyone go, it just doesn't make entertaining stuff. It's like the audience doesn't like this. You'll make a $5 million movie instead of a $300 million movie, but no one will watch it because it's ass. That's not an argument that's brought up, because I think scriptwriters creators themselves know what they've done to the industry. He's not arguing that an AI will make worse stuff. He's saying that audiences need to be told what they're watching because they want to know. You're saying they can't tell. If you have to be told something, you're saying AI is equivalent to what Hollywood is pumping out. And that is the problem. You can like Superman, you can dislike Superman, but it is an incredibly shallow piece of entertainment. It doesn't have any of the human emotion in it. It's not exploring concepts and ideas. It's not actually getting away from the base level of just things happening onto a screen into actually deeper levels of conversation. That is what AI would struggle to do. There's a lot of talk about how it can't be original. No one's original. Everything you create is simply you breaking down things you've experienced into its core components and then reassembling them into a new original thing. You can't imagine something you don't know. If you try and think of a new original creature, a new original monster, that monster will simply be things that you've already experienced reassembled in a new way. And that's how the AI works. What it can't do then, at the moment, is really explore and analyze interesting ideas. My last video was about the concepts of when exactly would it be right to sacrifice somebody to save more people. The obvious trolley problem. An AI would think of it mathematically. Humans think of it in different levels. And that's the interesting part. You can make movies about masculinity, femininity, where those boundaries lie, what the roles are. What's satisfying in life? What's a good life? What's the differences between them? The moral differences between them. What do they value and what do they do? The problem is, they're also beyond Hollywood. Hollywood has already reduced itself to the level of the thing that's replacing it. But it's worse, because nobody likes them. If you were making good quality entertainment, people would have fought for you to keep your jobs. But as you've just been insulting them, slurring them, producing slop, and then telling them it's good for them, and actually you know better because you're an elitist artist, well, maybe people would have had a bit more sympathy. But when Hollywood doesn't understand what it means to be human, when they don't understand what masculinity is, or why an attractive person should be in a movie, when they despise the male gaze and will not cater to it, well, I'll go with an AI that will any day. It doesn't need to understand why it's doing it. As long as it does it. Hollywood, though, they refuse to, because they see the male gaze, they see masculinity is wrong. And I will take the side of someone who will entertain me and doesn't care about me, compared to somebody who hates me and wants to actually give me the opposite of what I desire and tell me that I'm a bad person for not wanting it. No, the problem with Hollywood is they made the audience want someone to replace them. And rather than listening to them, cleaning house and replacing them with superior people, they decided to get offended, to attack, and now they're still getting replaced just by automation at the will of their very bosses themselves. Quite frankly, for me, hard to have much sympathy. But those are just my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know down in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video, subscribe, more videos like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.